el momento de salsa, cultura y algo más con David Atanasio, destacado cantante y productor. Miércoles de salsa, cultura y algo más, 8 de la noche. Comenzamos. Es el programa Salsa, cultura y algo más. Dímelo, David. ¡Vamos arriba!
Saludos, mi gente. Muy buenas noches. Hay feedback por aquí, hay feedback por allá, pero se escucha chévere. Muy buenas noches. Es diciembre 3 del 2025, 8 de la noche en todo el área este de los Estados Unidos, 9 de la noche en Puerto Rico, 7 de la noche en México, 8 de la noche en Perú y en Colombia, donde nos vienen apoyando y siguiendo el programa por estos largos meses, y estamos más que agradecidos. Hoy, mi gente, como de costumbre, tenemos una persona muy especial para mí, y estoy más que agradecido de que haya aceptado la invitación. Les estoy hablando español ahora, pero cuando vayamos a empezar la entrevista, vamos a cambiar a inglés para su beneficio, porque él domina más el inglés y está totalmente justificado. Y esta noche vamos a hablar de todo eso. Como yo les he venido anunciando, vamos a tener nada más y nada menos que al señor Andy Harlow. Así que vamos a estar haciendo un legado a los hermanos Harlow, que tanto han aportado a la música afro-latina. Y verdaderamente el que ama esta música, el que está apasionado de esta música, sabe y entiende lo mucho que estas personas han aportado. Larry, que ya no está con nosotros, pero dejó un caudal de música para nosotros aprender. Y gracias a Larry Harlow, muchos de nosotros conocemos quién es Arsenio Rodríguez, porque como ustedes saben, Larry Harlow fue gran fanático de Arsenio Rodríguez, el ciego maravilloso, y por eso Larry Harlow hereda ese apodo en la salsa como el judío maravilloso. Pero para el que conoce de verdad, sabe que Larry no trabajó solo en esta música, sino que había otro muchachito por ahí, judío, pero que se mezcló y vio llegar y le dio la bienvenida a los hispanos en Nueva York, específicamente a los puertorriqueños, y de ahí empieza a surgir todo esto, y esta gente han dejado un gran legado. Y hoy pues tenemos la fortuna de contar con el señor Andy Harlow, que nos honra esta noche en estar con nosotros. Antes de traerlo a la pantalla, como siempre, quiero darle las gracias a mis auspiciadores que han estado con nosotros día a día. Tainas Mobile Cigar Bar, Toque de Belleza by Carmencita, Andando Radio, Tumbao Radio, Latino 99. ¿Quién se me escapa? Son tantos, ya han estado conmigo, pero saben que los menciono todos los miércoles. Pero hoy, como ustedes saben, tengo la mente en 20 direcciones, porque ya mismo vamos a cambiar al difícil, como le decimos. Andy Harlow es una persona que ha aportado grandemente, pero también él ha sido dichoso de que se le diera la oportunidad, pues ya que era hermano de Larry, pues, y ya Larry venía con una suma de éxitos, pues a Jerry Masucci se le ocurre decir, ¿por qué no traemos a otro Harlow a la firma Fania? Y Andy Harlow no desaprovechó la oportunidad, sino que también al entrar a la firma empieza a cosechar una serie de éxitos. Así que yo lo voy a traer a pantalla para empezar a hablar con él y a compartir con el señor Andy Harlow, que esta noche nos acompaña. Y está por aquí nada más y nada menos que ¡boom! El señor
There
Andy
I
Harlow.
am. All right,
Mr. Andy, how
nice
are you?
seeing you, baby. I'm fine.
Glad to have you here. We are honored. I hope you understood 70% at least of what I said in Spanish.
No, me entiendo todo.
Oh, ustedes ven lo que le estoy diciendo. Este hombre es candela, candela. Larry,
Since you were talking
Andy,
about La Loteria,
la lotería.
it was the biggest selling 45 that Fania ever had.
Really?
It was close to 100,000 45s. That was in 1972, was a lot.
Wow. I'm going to be translating that because those are highlights that we need to mention. Mi gente, para darle un nugget de información, el señor Andy Harlow tuvo el éxito en disco 45, que más vendió un promedio de 140,000 discos. Para aquel entonces, aquello era del tema La Lotería, que lo cantaba nada más y nada menos que Johnny Vázquez. Y vamos a estar hablando de eso ya mismo. El tema La Lotería lo tienen que buscar con Andy Harlow y Johnny Vázquez. Tremendo vacilón, pero un número bien sabroso, además de toda la música. Así que, well, let's start, Mr. Harlow.
And then you were talking about Arsenio with Larry, so I'll give you a quick Arsenio story.
Okay.
Right before the Palladium closed, I guess it was in the mid-60s, 64, 65, maybe a little 60. Larry took me to I'll tell you when it was. I was only 16 years old. It was like 61 or 62.
Okay.
Larry took me to the Palladium, and even though I was underage, they let me in. And it was Eddie Palmieri with special guest Arsenio. That was the one and only time I saw Arsenio live.
Really? And he played with Palmieri?
It was like 2:30, the last set, like 2:00 in the morning.
Wow.
Eddie's played a couple of tunes, and then they bring Arsenio up.
Wow.
Understand? And then he does. I'll tell you, it was yo no quiero morir en cadena.
Wow.
That blew my mind. I was a teenager.
So you telling me that Eddie Palmieri was on stage and he featured Arsenio Rodriguez with his
Yes,
band?
at the play, he was a special guest, Arsenio Rodriguez.
Wow, that's mind blowing. That's mind blowing. But I want to start from the beginning so people a little bit of, you were born in
1945.
Right at the Second World War ending.
I was born a month after the war ended. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Okay, so by that time, like many people know, as you are Larry Harlow's brother, you guys are from your Jewish descent. You're Jewish, from Ukrainian or Russian and German.
German, Austrian, yeah.
German, Austrian, okay, but everybody with Jewish descent, and so you guys were relocated in New York, or your grandparents or your parents came as children?
So my parents were both born in Brooklyn. Their parents came from Europe.
Okay.
In the early 1900s.
Grandparents came from Europe. Okay. Yeah. And let's start with Mr. Buddy Harlow. Your dad, he was the musician, although I understand that you had and your family, mainly everybody was a musician or singer.
Well, my father and his brother, my uncle, was a musician as well. That stuff about my mother being an opera singer is
one of Larry's.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know who actually started that, but Larry perpetuated it a little bit. He never denied it. Put it that way.
Well, maybe he heard her singing, and she sounded like an opera singer to him.
No, it's just that you read all this. You got to be careful about all the stuff you read on social media and on the internet, and
You're right.
People make up a lot of stuff. They don't fact check. I don't think there was any maliciousness there, but you know,
Just to make it a
stories
little more
tend,
interesting. Just to make it a little more interesting.
stories tend to grow. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. Nothing has changed. Here on this picture, we're showing your dad on bass player. You on flute on the right side of the picture, on
Yeah.
the right of the picture. And then we have on timbales, you mentioned it earlier,
Papi Couvertier, and
Papi
on the
Couvertier,
keyboards, Jeffrey Grossman.
Jeffrey Grossman. Okay. And this was an established
Yeah.
quartet, or this was just a jamming session?
No,
Tell me a little
we
bit
were the
about it.
Latin band at the Fairmont Hotel in Lakewood, New Jersey for the whole winter season. I was doing that and going to college at the same time. I would commute. Lakewood is about 50 miles south of New York.
Okay.
So I would take the public service bus up and back into Manhattan and working at the hotel 6 nights a week with my father.
Wow. Look at that. But you had the privilege and the honor to work with your dad, to play with your dad. I mean, not
Yeah,
everybody
I
gets
did.
to do
It was
that.
quite an experience. He knew a lot about music. He knew a lot about the music business, and he gave both of us, Larry and myself, lots of good advice.
Okay, that's good. I guess you
My
guys
father
keep.
was, was a musician during the Depression, during World War II. He knew he knew how to be a business how to be a band leader. I'll put it that. And being a band leader means being a businessman.
All right, so you guys took on that very well because Larry, of
Well,
course, he was successful. There's always up and downs, but I mean,
yeah.
you still standing. You're a legend. Your brother's not here, but he's a legend, and he's a reference. He's definitely a reference for many of us. So no doubt. So
Well, he was
so
a
I mean,
legend.
aside of the stories, he did
No,
he
he,
did pretty well. My understanding is that Larry was pretty much the mastermind to put together the Fania All Stars.
that is true. He
Okay,
brought the
and
idea to Masucci and to Pacheco, and
right.
that very first gig at the Red Garter. That's
Okay,
how it
yeah.
started. I was there that night.
Esto es una noche inolvidable para siempre. That was one of the tunes. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It was Larry
Richie
and
Ray was
Eddie
there.
Palmieri. It was Larry and Eddie Palmieri on piano.
Yeah,
A bunch of and Barreto and Bilato and
Puente, Richie
Pacheco,
Ray was there.
Monguito,
Wow,
bunch of
that's
guys. That's
yeah,
how it started. And then nothing really happened after that for like a couple of years. And
yeah.
then the whole thing with the Finding All Stars at the Cheetah, on that gig, I was actually working on the film crew.
Oh, really?
I was, yeah. If you see the, I'm in the credits at the end, but I was like a gaffer, gopher. The guy the guy who directed the movie, was Larry's best friend.
Leon Shatz, I think it was
Leon
Gas.
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 Yeah.
Okay, so you were always on the payroll, even behind the scenes. Okay, and to be fair, it's not that the Fania All Stars was an original idea because they did it before with Cesta All Stars, they did it with Alegre All Stars,
Yeah.
but that fell apart, and because the record companies they did not succeeded,
Well,
but
They got this great idea to do it at the Cheetah. They promoted it a lot, and they filmed it, and it took off. It took off, and musically, it was fantastic. And then the recordings and the movie came out great.
right. Well, what made it different because it was another jamming night. Although they had great tunes, because it was tunes mainly that they had recorded prior, some of them, and they did them live and they recorded it. But once they film it and they start distributing that, and it's going to Puerto Rico, Latin America, going to Europe. I mean, Fania was in Japan in 1976 already. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
breakthrough. That's a breakthrough right there. But let's go back to you. So yeah, because it is fascinating because, again, like I started in the introduction, you guys, not being Latinos, you guys have contributed and understood and took on this music and made it your own. What are you, other than being talented, but you guys weren't prejudiced about the genre? Did you guys saw it as a business, or you actually had the passion for it? You know, it really got into you. You know how you guys
Well,
grew this passion about it.
obviously, I got turned on to Latin music through my brother. But
Okay.
but being a lover of music and a and a student of music, if you're gonna if you gotta do your homework. I made it my business to learn about the music through listening and reading, through listening to and seeing bands live and asking a lot of questions. You can't be a pretender. You got to know what you know.
Right.
We have some people to come up to me. Oh yeah, I want to do a radio show. Oh yeah, how many Arsenio records do you have? Who's that?
Of
you
course. Of course.
know.
Hey, before I forget, the way I think you and me connected, I think it was through Tito Rodriguez Jr. I know you guys know each other very well and have worked together, like he mentioned to me before. But when I was starting to
Tito
share my music with
was my
him,
timbale player here in Miami back in I guess it was the 80s.
right, yeah, he was telling me about it. I'm like, really? So he's the one who actually connected me with you, because he told me that you had this and you have this radio show, and actually you've been doing radio for over 40
Almost 40
years.
years. Yeah.
On and not on and off, but in different like
Well, I
actual
was with
radio.
WDNA, and then back in when DNA first started in the 80s, then I was one of the first guys on internet radio. I was on lamusica.com, which is owned by
Interesting.
SBS, which was started by a friend of mine, and he
Oh
sold
wow.
it to Alacon and SBS, and then I went back to DNA, and then for a while I had my own show on my own website. This was before. I'm talking about it was early 90s when it was a lot different. You didn't even have you couldn't even listen on your phone in those days.
Right, yeah. I mean, this is a miracle what we're doing right now. I mean, we take it
Oh
for
yeah,
granted, but it's so normal now. But 20 years ago, we wouldn't think of these things. Um,
exactly.
but there, you have done so much that we are all over the place, and because you've done a lot. I want to go back to the beginnings, because interesting, and a lot of people don't know this, and I learned it myself recently. But for you putting a band together, you have some young talents that later on made it, and they are legends, or they are references to others nowadays. We're talking about Marcolino Dimon, great pianist, gone too soon. We're
Ismael
talking about
Miranda.
Ismael Miranda, who started with you before Larry, and the great and the late Johnny Vasquez. Okay, Johnny Vasquez, to us in Puerto Rico, we take our hat, and Johnny made so many hits with Bobby Valentin, but before that, he made him with you. How did Johnny? Let's talk about Johnny first, and then let's talk about Ismael. How they came to your band? How you guys meet? How did that happen?
Well, when I made the deal to record the album with Fania, we were going to use mainly the musicians from Larry's band, but
Okay.
obviously Masucci didn't want Miranda to. He wanted me to find a new singer, and
Okay.
Larry had just finished producing Orquesta di Coupe, and Johnny was one of the singers with them, and Larry was impressed with Johnny, both
Oh,
with his
okay.
talent and with his demeanor and his attitude. So that's how I met Johnny, through Larry, and he was a loyal guy for the first two albums, and all those beginning gigs, and we traveled all over the place, and he came to me
Okay.
and said, "Listen, I got to move to Puerto Rico." I
Oh,
said, "I can dig it."
so why
You know,
why he had to move to Puerto Rico?
well, he just wanted to.
Okay.
Whether he was homesick at the time, he hadn't been offered the job with Bobby Valentin. he was just going to move there and see what he could do.
Oh, okay. So do you know how long he was living in New York before he moved back to Puerto Rico? Maybe 5, 10 years at the most?
I don't really know that because I
Okay.
didn't know him until like I met him 2 months before we recorded the album.
Oh, wow. Wow. So what you're
I
telling
met
me
him at the
is,
rehearsals.
so what you're telling me is that other, aside of being so talented, a great voice, he was a loyal guy. He was responsible, not a troublemaker. He was there on
Nothing.
time, and obviously you
Always
guys
on
did.
time, always wearing the right clothes. Never complained about nothing. Never, never stuck me up for money or nothing like that.
Like most of the musicians, right?
Not exactly like some other ones who I won't name. But here's another
Wow.
guy that came through my band that needs more recognition. Jose Madrid,
Jose Madrid. Tell me about Jose Madrid.
piano player from Colombia.
Okay.
Started out when he first came to New York. That was one of the first gigs he had with me, and then he went on to play with Ray Barretto and Mongo and Angel Canales, and then he went back to Colombia and was conducting a TV show, and sort of died kind of young, but that's
That's a
another
shame.
story.
That's a shame. And tell me about Ismael Miranda. Like you guys call it Ishmael. Well, that's the name and
Actually, his first nickname was Little Man.
Little Man. I wonder why.
That's what in those days we called him Little Man.
Wow.
Well, we met at the 3-in-1 Club in Brooklyn. Larry was playing with his band, and I met him outside in the parking lot. We were smoking, and he just came up with this little kid with pointy shoes, and this was back in the '60s. Yeah, well, he was a little older there, but
Yeah.
and he said, "Oh, he said, you're Andy Harlow." I said, "Yeah." He says, "I heard you starting a band." How he heard that, I don't know, but it was true. There's the band. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's how it started. They were so young. I was the only guy who had a car.
Really?
They were teenagers.
Wow. So in
Miranda
this,
and Mark Diamond, and
yeah, we have Mark Diamond kneeling right in front of everyone, and then with the maracas, you see Ismael Miranda. To the right of Ismail, you see Andy Harlow with the flute, if I'm not mistaken. No.
I'm in
You're
the
right
back.
behind. You're right behind Ismail.
Yeah, he's covering half my head,
Right,
and
right, right.
that's the only actual picture that we have of us
Wow,
together. There's one other
wow.
picture from the on the stage at the La Mancha.
Oh, really? I
Those
don't
are
think I
the
have.
only pictures I have of that band.
Okay, I don't think I have that one, but
I think
anyways,
I gotta look for it. I'll send it to you.
yeah, that's fine. Well, I wanted to share it with people on the show. All these pictures that we're showing tonight. Andy was gracious enough to share them. So I can have him ready to share with you guys because this is part of history. This is, definitely Andy Harlow is part of history, and he has contributed immensely to this music that we follow and we try to continue.
Well, I was just
Definitely.
lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time,
Well,
and to live through all that stuff that now they call history.
I
Back
understand,
in the old,
but you took advantage, like we were saying a little bit earlier. Your dad taught you guys about the business. You guys took advantage of it, and not only that, but you gave back to the people who listen and enjoy and dance to this music.
I thank
You
you for
have
that.
collectors. You have record collectors around the world. You have people. You have dancers. And again, I invite people to go. The people that don't know too much, go and search Andy Harlow's music. He's got 4 or 5 records. He's got 4 that he recorded with Fania, and then you recorded, I think, like 2 or 3 more afterwards, not with
Well, I
Fania.
did one
Later.
with Larry together,
Yes,
the
yes,
Salsa Brothers, Miami Sessions. Yeah,
yes. You got Philadelphia Mambo. I love
but
that tune.
the La Musica Brava album is
Uh
the
huh.
one that most resembles how my band sounded live. The 2 trombone trombanga sound.
Which one was
Then
that?
after
It's
the latter albums, we had more musicians, horns and trumpets and electric guitars and violins but the La Música Brava was basically two trombones and flute because I'll tell you this. The original concept for the first Sorpresa La Flauta album and for the Andy Harlow band was to be a La Perfecta knockoff. Two trombones and flute.
Okay.
And that's what the first two albums were. Two trombones and flute.
Okay.
And that wasn't by coincidence. That was planned.
It was planned because the sound that they made popular, and later on Willie Colon also with the trombones, but also Mon Rivera in Puerto Rico.
Right.
And
now now it's got a new name. They call it trombanga.
Trombanga. Yeah, but that's
but
cool.
I tell you, and I'm not blowing my horn here. You listen to some of the, I'm not going to mention some of the bands today, some of the new bands that are around today, the two trombone bands. They don't swing like we did. They didn't, what can I tell you? I'd put it this way, it's not my kind of swing.
I hear you. I have come to, I
except for Corral and Salsa from Colombia.
When we listen to this music day and night, and we try to absorb as much as we can, you start meditating, you start thinking. And I think one of the reasons that you guys elevated that sound or made that sound that no one else can reproduce, I think is the environment, the era that you guys were living as well. The struggle, the hunger. You guys were, it was something different. You guys were creating a different sound. Not a genre, but creating a different sound. You had these influences of jazz, Motown, you name it, the swing. So you guys are creating.
Well, that's from growing up in New York.
Exactly. So we respect what others are doing in different places, including me. I make my music, and by the way, I gotta say, you play my music on your show, and I'm forever grateful. And again, thanks to Tito Rodriguez, the one who connected us. But we tried, but we have to respect what you guys did. We always need to feed from it, but always try to make something new, not try to imitate. Always influence, because you guys were influenced. You just said yourself you were trying to sound like Eddie Palmieri, but you didn't. You came up with your own stuff. Let me tell you something. I learned this on an interview where Mike, when they were doing "We Are the World," remember they came together, all the artists, to do that record. Michael Jackson came to Daryl Hall and John Oates to ask him if he could use the beat from "I Can Go For That." They had a great hit, "I Can Go For That." He was asking them if he could use that beat on a new tune that he was gonna do. That new tune is "Beat It." No, I'm sorry, Billie Jean. Billie Jean. When you think about it, it kind of sounds like it, but it's two total different hits and two different songs, but one feeds from the other.
Well, that's how music evolves. Miles Davis, of course, he listened to Louis Armstrong.
Of course. Now, how about Marcolino Dimon? Tell me about Marcolino, because there's a lot of videos and kind of bios out there, but they're all incomplete. Tell me a little bit about him, and what he did for music, the good stuff he did for music, and your relation with him.
Mark was a super talented kid, and basically he was a self-taught musician. Wow. But he was a killer. It's just that he had all these personal problems that got in the way. I don't want to expand on that, but that was his downfall.
Right.
And he started after I broke up the sextet. He went to play with Willie Colon, and from there, all over the place. But
okay, so that's an important.
He had those personal demons that,
Took him away too soon.
he lived on the same block with Miranda on the Lower East Side.
Oh, really?
His mother was a social worker. She was African American. His Cuban father was nowhere to be found in those days. She was a single parent, his mother. He had a sister too, but he couldn't stay out of trouble. He couldn't. And everybody went out of their way to, to help him. But it's just one of the, I can tell you some crazy stories, but see, Mark was Mark, and people either accepted him as that, or you just didn't use him. But
well, yeah, I mean, such a talent. Of course, some took the risk, and of course they wanted to, but I mean, the things he did with you, with Willie Colon, with Hector Lavoe,
with Frankie Dante,
Ángel Canales. I mean, it'll stay forever. But he was he started with you. You were one of the first who used them and had them in Latin bands.
Yeah.
Incredible. So there you
He
go,
was like
guys.
my brother from another mother.
Yeah. Now,
what can I say?
Now tell me, how you finally enter officially to record with Fania.
Well, if you pick up I told the whole thing on the liner notes of the CD reissue of Sorpresa La Flauta, but I'll tell it to you. It was basically, I just went up to Fania one day with Larry. You got to remember that I was already an established musician. I was
Right.
In 1972. I was for 10 years. I had been supporting myself as a musician from the time I was in high school. I was able to play in a lot of different venues and genres, and I could do a lot of. I was a very versatile. Played saxophone, flute, clarinet. I could play American music. I was playing in rock and roll bands. I did some Latin band stuff. So I go up with Larry to Fania Records, and we go in Masucci's office, and he says, "What do you do?" He's saying to me, like, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I got my own band. I'm playing jazz gigs over here." And that is, "Well, why don't you?" He says, "Larry, why don't we record your brother? He's got the name. We'll use your band. Miranda will write the tunes.
Wow.
And we'll get a singer, and bada bing, bada boom, and that's how it happened. It was handed to me on a silver platter. I'm not ashamed of that.
No, I mean, again, they gave you the opportunity. You took advantage of it.
It was at the exact same time that I was graduating from college with my master's degree.
Okay.
It's 1972.
A master's on, if I may ask.
In ethnomusicology and music education.
Wow. Oh, look at that.
So
So can you tell me the musicians that recorded in that first album? Do you remember them all? Are they on the credits?
It was basically the trombones from Larry's band. It was Leopoldo and Louis Kahn, Nicky Marrero on bongos. It was my timbale player, A.B. Lima, who was an old friend of Larry. Larry had recruited him to be in my band. The conga drummer was Frankie Rodriguez from Larry's band. The bass players were Joe Santiago on half the album and Andy Gonzalez on the other half.
Wow.
And the piano players were Joe Madrid on half the album and Alfredo Rodriguez on the other half.
Wow, Alfredo Rodriguez. Yeah. A lot of people don't talk about him, but he left some good stuff. He recorded with Willie Rosario as well.
With a lot of people. He recorded with a lot of people. Anyway, and the corner was Miranda and Pete Conde, and I think Alberto, I don't remember. And Johnny was the lead singer. And Miranda wrote like half the tunes, 4 or 5 of the tunes.
Wow. Now, there's something about La Loteria that you were telling me earlier. We don't want to go into deep, but La Loteria was a great hit.
It was a hit in Cuba, and Larry found it on a 78 somewhere. I don't remember where, by Selena, who was a Cuban singer.
Right,
And
Selena y Retulio.
that's Selena Gonzalez, right?
Right. And you were telling me that Justy Barreto was claiming credit for that tune.
Jussi Barreto said he wrote it. I don't know who wrote it, but I'll
I
tell you
think
this is funny though. When the album came out, the writer's credit said Jerry Masucci.
uh,
But that's
go
another
figure.
music business story, right?
Go figure, huh?
Right, but but
Well,
whoever wrote it,
I
but
mean,
it just happened to take off. Dizzy Izzy Sanabria did the voice, the funny voices, and it was the right place at the right. New York State had just started the lottery at that time.
Isi Sanabria doesn't live too far from me. He's like 20 minutes away.
Every once in a while, he calls me and says hello.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's not many of us left.
I know. When you talk to him again, tell him I would like to have him on the show. I know he's another encyclopedia, and he has done a lot for the
And
company and music.
you used to have
No.
John Fausti living there too.
Well, yeah, but he passed away.
I know. I
Yeah,
never
I
got
got
to
to
see
spend.
him.
I did get to spend some time with Fausti. I was lucky enough, and it was nice. Actually, my wife, she made a surprise birthday party for my 50th. And since his wife works with my wife, she brought him as a surprise. So all the musicians, because she brought my band, I didn't know anything. She brought my band, and everybody was going crazy when they saw John Fausti, and everybody that wasn't a musician was asking, who is that guy that everybody wants to take picture, wants to talk to him? Was no other than John Fausti. That was a thrill. That was phenomenal. But yeah, I got to spend some time with Fausti, and that was great. So I'm assuming he was the engineer on some of your recordings.
Yeah, not the first two. The first two were Irv Greenbaum, but after
Greenbaum.
that, he was the original Fania engineer, Irv Greenbaum.
How is it? How is it that these guys? Not again. You're mentioning two people that are not Latin as well, in either, and they brought the best sound, the best
They learned,
recordings.
the producers would tell them more bass, less this, mix that. Irv was for year before he became a recording engineer. He was a radio engineer, so
Mm.
he knew his way around the studio, and he had good ears. He's. I haven't read it, but before he died, he put out an autobiography about all the recording he did. He was a nice
Who?
guy.
John
No, no, Irv Greenbaum.
Greenbaum. Oh wow, that would be cool to check out.
Yeah,
But nowadays you go and
it's not the
you go on
same
a
now.
you go on a gig now and a live performance, and these guys they become. Some are good, but most of them you have
But
to.
even the way they do recordings now, the trumpet
Right.
player does all four parts from his bedroom
Yeah.
into the computer, and then the next guy, everything is just and he's in Europe, and the timbale player is in Tennessee, and
Well, but nowadays you don't have a record company backing you up, so you have to pay yourself. And
well, yeah.
the first one that's gonna start charging you a lot is the engineer. He's charging this much per hour. So if you can get everybody to record real quick, and then he'll put it together, is a lot quicker if he's good. But
But
unfortunately, that's
there's
the way.
nothing like recording live.
No, I bet no, and the evidence is there on the records, definitely. Now, on some of the recordings I was listening of yours, someone that impressed me, and I've heard of him, but I really didn't pay attention before, was Paquito Pastor. What can you tell me about Paquito Pastor?
Great piano player, good and fantastic arranger as well. I knew him like from just gigging around New York since I was when I first started out in the business. He started out in the early '60s with Orlando Marin and a lot of
Wow.
bands.
Now, I want to
When I
show
ran
people
into
here.
him, I saw him recently somewhere. Oh, he was playing with about not the recently, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. He was playing with the Machito band. Here in Miami, they had a gig.
With Mario, and
Mario Jr. Yeah,
I got to see him in New York when they got together. Tito Rodriguez Jr., Puente Jr., and Mario. They got together
I saw
in New
them
York.
too.
On New York
I
on the
saw them
last
down here
time.
do that thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I
I
flew
was.
to New York. I was smart enough to go to New York because then after that, a little bit after that, then Mario passed away, unfortunately. But
I was talking about piano players, Paquito Pastor. I was very fortunate to have so many great piano players, from Marcolino to Paquito to El Pulpo to Madrid, Jorge Dalto, just to
wow.
name a few.
Wow.
And
How about your brother? Did your brother record it with you? On those early records.
he produced them, but he didn't. Sometimes he would do like some kind of electronic overdub or something. But the one album where we played together was the Miami Sessions one. But that was
Okay.
me,
Okay.
Larry, and Marcolino,
Wow.
because it was. We talked about before about knockoffs. This was 1984. I'm here in Miami, and the hottest thing at the time was Ruben Blades and Sede Solar. So I
Okay.
decided to record something kind of similar with no horns. Two
Okay.
electric keyboards, bass, you know what I mean, like the Sexta Solar was.
Right. Right.
And that's how that came about. And Mark happened to show up here in Miami, and I even had Luis Enrique singing on that.
Wow. Yeah. I haven't had the chance to hear that, but I saw it. I said Luis Enrique. Wow. When I wasn't still a singer,
And he
but when
played
he
conga drums on it too.
did, he's a great percussionist. I'll tell you
Yeah, he
that.
was
I
just a
know.
kid.
He played at my senior prom back in '89. And after the gig, after they were done, they stole his conga drums. Go figure.
Oh God,
I mean, they weren't.
another showbiz story.
You know it. You know it. But I was gonna ask you. So that was in '84. That was like 2 years prior of Marcolino passing away. I believe he passed
In
in '86.
84. 80, that was in 84.
Yeah, you recorded in '84, but he passed away '86, I believe. '86,
Yeah.
'87. All right. What a shame. That's a collector's item right there. Larry Harlow, Andy Harlow, Luis Enrique, Mike Colino. Who else you had?
Eddie
Eddie
Guagua,
Guagua. Woo! Mr.
and
Batacumbele.
and a bunch of other guys too, and a bunch of
That's
Miami.
incredible. I want to share with people. By the way, there's great pictures with you and your brother. I really enjoyed those pictures because it shows the love, it shows all the background, all the everything. It shows everything when you guys got together after
Well, back in the 90s, Larry bought a condo here in Miami. I was already here since the 70s,
Oh,
and
really?
he would come down quite often, like maybe once a. So we hung out a lot. We did some gigs here in Miami, and then at that time he had just started the Latin Legends band, and I was the baritone sax player in that band.
Oh, really?
So
You didn't get to record on that album, or did
no,
you?
because I was down here, but I did like so. Whenever I could do a gig, I did it with him because I was also doing gigs with my band. But did at least dozens of gigs in the United
Great.
States, Philadelphia, uh, North Carolina, Porter. We did the anniversary one in Puerto Rico. We did the Los Angeles. Then we went to Martinique and this place in Venezuela, and
Wow.
it was a blast. It was a blast.
Um,
Yeah, that was a great
that
band.
album, it was
Adalberto, Yomo, Pete Conde. That
Piconde,
was a
Miranda, Giovanni Hidalgo, Cachete. They all recorded there. At least,
right.
at least they
Yeah.
recorded. To me, that was a great record. I love. By the way, I grew up listening to Tito Rodriguez, so therefore, that song El Jamaiquino, it always stuck in my mind. It always had that. That's the first version I ever heard. But when Larry came up with his version, oh my goodness, the arrangement was it's mind blowing. So, and then after that, I started listening to other versions like El Niño Rivera. I learned about Niño Rivera in Cuba and all that stuff.
Well,
And I gotta tell you,
he wrote Jamaquino.
El Niño, yeah, he wrote it, yeah. But again, me growing up, trying to emulate my dad listened to Tito Rodriguez all the time. So me in junior high school, you see me smuggling blank tapes, having a friend of mine that his dad had Tito Rodriguez collection. So I would bring blank tapes so he could record them for me. So I was odd, you know, while everybody was listening to you know, hip hop and what was it, electro boogie?
Well,
They call it back then.
when I was 13 and 14 years old, I would go to sleep listening to Symphony Sid Show in New York.
Wow, Symphony Sid. Wow.
Well, you know, Tito, Mongo, La Lupe.
He was part of the Cheetah concert, our Latin thing movie.
But he started out as a jazz DJ, and then in the late 50s, early 60s, he switched to Latin jazz and then salsa.
That's the other thing. You had DJs back then that they were celebrities themselves. You had Joe Gaines, you had Symphony Sid, you had who else? You had
Dick Sugar.
Dick Sugar,
Ricardo Sugar, yeah.
Ricardo Sugar. There you go. I mean,
Polito Vega. Polito Vega.
Herman will tell me that, you know, when they were getting ready for gigs or to go out to dance, they will listen to, they had these radio shows. They were getting you ready. They were getting you pumped up with the shows and the tunes that they were playing that night, you know, and then you went out. And that's something I want to show people, want to share with people some of the flyers and the gigs that you did, you know, mi gente, Andy Harlow, he was part of that gang. He was
Did
on
I
the
send you
scene.
the one about Christmas at the Cheetah?
No, I don't think so.
I
But
think I did. You got to look to see if it's the that you won't believe. 1 week at the Cheetah, all. Oh,
check
that
this
was
out.
I opened for Cal Jada,
Look at this.
1965,
Back in
67.
back in 67, we got Carl Jader, Gilberto and his sextet. They were telling me that Gilberto was hot back at the time, that sextet,
Yeah.
and no other than Mr. Andy Harlow on Saturday. And then
Now, let me tell you a story about that. So the La Mancha was that's the La Mancha, the Latin Music House, was 2 flights up with no elevator, and I used to work there every week, so my vibes were on the stage. So Cal Jada did the gig. He used my vibraphones. So I'm sitting in the wing. I was what was it, 1967? So I was 22, and I'm watching Cal Jada with his band, and he's looking at and he's like waves to me. He says, "Come on, take a solo," after him.
really,
And I punked out.
really.
I said, "No, it's okay. You know."
Oh wow.
I should have.
You were intimidated.
I was intimidated.
Okay, well that happens. That happens, you know.
Yeah, that's a true story. I'm not ashamed of it.
But let me show. I want to show.
It's like,
I want to
it's
show.
like if I was. It's like if I was on a stage playing sax and Charlie Parker or Stan Getz came up.
Hey, Muhammad Ali got knocked out, and he got up and then he fought again.
Exactly.
It's all good. I want to show people here on this. By the way, this is by Joe Gaines on his show. La Loteria was #1, and check out the other people are there. Willy Colón con Piraña. Incomprendido de Ismael Rivera, #5. Mujer, Mujer, de Tempo 70. Mañoñó, #7, la típica, 73. Magdalena, Orquesta La Conspiración, was hot back then as well. And you have, who else you have here? I cannot read it because of the comments. Let me see. Who else we got here? I can see farther down. But here you have Mr. Andy Harlow, #1 on Joe Gaines' New York Latin Soul on his show.
I was #1 for like 2 months.
Look at that. Mi gente, tienen que chequear ese tema y tienen que chequear la música de Andy Harlow.
Well, here's what happened. The record came out. For whatever reason, La Loteria was a hit right away. Then I had to rush to put a band together because they started calling for gigs, and I didn't even have a band. It was me.
Goodness.
It was me and Johnny and Abe. That's when I found all those young kids to become part of the band.
There you go. I mean,
Ruben Figueroa and Steve Colon and the horn players and Robert on bass and
one more time, I want to repeat that this is important. You had on your band Alfredo Rodriguez on piano, Joe
that was
Madrid,
the recording band,
right?
not the
But I
gig
mean,
band.
right, but still, they recorded with you and they contributed to this great music that stayed.
Yeah,
Jorge D'Alto. I mean, a great Alfredo Rodriguez is mind blowing because I heard him with Willie Rosario on one of the recordings, and then he was bad too. Paquito Pastor, phenomenal. I want to share with the people here this other picture. This is at the Corso. Mi gente, the Corso back then was another of the clubs that, I mean, is even mentioned on records. And here is Mr. Andy Harlow with his band on New Year's Eve. The guy was hot or what? On New Year's Eve, he was going to be playing, featuring with Rey Barreto, Peter Conde, and Tony Pavon. How about that? Look at that. And El Corso.
well, there was a lot of. I told you, I was lucky. I had a good management, and most important is when we went to play, we laid it down. You know what I mean? People weren't.
That's it.
Listen, Andy Harlow and Eddie Palmieri.
Look at that. And not just once. Here's another one. Hotel Philadelphia. Mi gente, aquí
Andy,
le estoy
Larry,
enseñando.
and Eddie Palmieri.
Ya,
Yeah.
aquí le estoy enseñando, mi gente, las participaciones y algunas de las actividades donde Andy Harlow tuvo con su orquesta, que no era de segunda, estaba con los grandes porque estaba pegado.
And that's an Izzy Sanabria poster.
¿Izzy Sanabria?
He designed that poster.
Okay. Look at that. And
You can
again,
always
thank you
tell
for.
Izzy. You can always tell Izzy stuff by the way,
Yeah. Yeah, it was popping. It was popping.
Yeah.
Now, I want to show people about. This is another one. Look at this. Típica 73, Joe Cuba, LeBron Brothers, Orquesta Sabor, Orquesta Tambor, Andy Harlow. $3.99 to get in, just to get in advance.
That's right.
Look at that. And then I want you to tell me about this concert. This was
That
a
was
great
Larry
concert. I don't
Harlow.
know. I was still
What
living
is
in
it?
Puerto Rico. I don't know why I missed it. Tell me about it.
That was it his 30th anniversary or 25th anniversary? I forget which anniversary it was, but it was a great concert in the Coliseum, the Tito Puente Coliseum, and
Yeah.
it was real good.
There's videos on YouTube that
There's a
you
lot
go.
of well, what happened was they videoed the whole thing. We never got paid for it. As
Really?
usual, we never
That's
got paid
not
for the
new.
video money. No, the guy pirated the whole thing.
Wow.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the usual story. Yeah.
See, that
But I
slipped
was
through the
playing
crack.
baritone. I was playing baritone sax, and then I did two of my own tunes, La Loteria and Tintindeo,
Yes.
and it was real good.
Yes. There's videos where you can see Andy Harlow doing and soloing on flute on that tune, La Loteria, and Pedro Brul singing, and they came out great. Está Pablito Rosario,
Right.
Juancito Torres,
Rafa Rosari,
Eddie Guagua, Chembo Cornier on tumbas,
Cachete, yeah.
Cachete Maldonado is there on batas. Who else? Ralphie Rizarri, the late Ralphie Rizarri.
Juancito Torres,
Juancito Torres, Cano Estremera,
Jerry
Néstor
Medina,
Sánchez, Jerry Medina, Pedro
yeah.
Brul,
Junior
Mimi
Gonzalez,
Cruz,
Ismael
Junior
Miranda.
Gonzalez. That was a great concert. I don't know
It
why I
was
missed it.
pretty-
I guess I was busy that night, but I mean, but again, there's some videos that on YouTube that you can check out. You can enjoy them. You're gonna see Larry. You're gonna see all those cats that we mentioned. And I say cats with respect. That's the term they used back then, right?
Yeah.
I wanna share with people some other pictures here. Here you are with Alfredo de la Fe,
That was
Larry.
And that's next to Alfredo was Emo Luciano, and on the
Emo
other end,
Luciano.
Luisito
Okay.
Rosario. They were
And
Larry's
Luisito,
last two singers.
right. Yeah. And I've
We
seen
went to
some pic.
the five of us went to Mexico City and played with a band. The band over there backed us up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's video of that around too. I've seen the
Oh,
video.
okay. All right.
And then after
And
the gig, we went for some Mexican food with the hats and stuff. It was clever.
there you go. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about your brother and how his contribution. Obviously, this is this is one of his best, but I think he had a few because to me that record Salsa to me is one of the top, one of my favorites. What he did there. But with Opera o Me, I know this was the concert. I know this was the Carnegie Hall. That's the flyer for it. But
I was the lighting director for that.
oh really? Again,
I
you're
was
on the
all the way
payroll
up
somehow.
in the spotlight booth, in the telling the spotlight guys who to put, because the spotlight guys were gringos. They had never done. They were used to doing opera and stuff. So when Celia came out and started saying, put the spotlight on her. And when Pacheco played the flute, I said, go put it on the flute player,
There
because
you go.
they didn't understand the music or anything. So
And when you say gringo, you don't see it in a despective way. You say it because they don't know anything about this. They don't know how it should
no,
who they need to put on the spot at the moment.
well,
You
that's
know,
why they put me up there. I had to climb up a ladder to get into the spotlight booth.
they put another gringo to tell those gringos, but this gringo knows what
Exactly.
he's talking about.
Right.
That's too cool. But how do you feel about the legacy, about the music that your brother himself left for us? Because
Well, it stands on its own. You know what I mean? It'll stand the test of time. You know what I mean? 20, 30 years from now, people will still be listening to it. And that's why we need people, not just like you and me, and people who try to keep the music alive. Radio shows and shows like yours, because a lot of the young kids now, they hear a song, they download it, they don't know anything about the song. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, you too, when you were a kid, you couldn't wait to get the album cover to read what was on the back.
exactly,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? You have to explain all this to these, because they don't know. A lot of these young Latin kids, they love the music, they dance great. They never heard of the Fania All Stars. They never heard of lots of people.
I think when I think and listen to Larry's music and what he's done. I mean, to begin with, you can tell me a little bit about this, but I know he moved to Cuba to live for a while there to study music, to absorb the music. I mean, he himself in a few interviews says there was a small group playing in every corner. Did he go there to study music or just to stay there for a while and absorb as much as he could? What was the
Yeah,
actual deal?
the closest to reality to that answer is he went in high school during spring break to Cuba by himself. He was only a teenager.
By himself.
Well, with some other musicians, but he didn't go with my parents,
Okay.
and to listen to the music and this and that. But the same thing, like I told you earlier, he studied the music. He knew what he was talking about. You know, he knew the difference between Bebo and Perugin and everybody else.
I mean, when you listen to some of his recordings, for one example is El Jardinero, the version that he did. If I'm not mistaken, that song is from Aragon, Orquesta Aragon
Yep.
original.
Yeah, I played it on the show the other night.
Yeah. And here comes Larry, and he turns that tune around and he adds Los Bata
Right.
en clave.
And he had brass too, trumpets and trombones too.
En un cha-cha-cha. Tú sabes, entonces, pues, the way it sounds, the you know the how beautiful it came out. That's what I'm trying to say. But not just that, the whole record of Arsenio Rodriguez. Tell me something, if you know this. I know that Jomo Toro is in that record of Arsenio. Did Jomo play the tres, or did he play the cuatro tuned differently, or is it a tres?
As far as I know, because Yomo was part of the Latin Legends band. He only played the cuatro.
He only played the cuatro.
I never saw him play it to this.
Okay.
But
Okay.
he was able to duplicate the tres sound.
Wow. Yeah, Jomo wasn't. He I mean, he was the real deal. And
He
but
was
it's
the real
fascinating
deal.
because they're playing straight son montuno and guaguancó, and there's Yomo, whoop, right along.
Well, because Yomo knew the music too. You know, if you listen to the real typical Cuban music, the sextetos and the Puerto Rican sextetos, they're igual. You know what I mean? Whether it's a cuatro or a tres, the claves, everything is there.
Wow. Check this out, my friends. Here you have this Jewish boy, and I say it with respect and admiration. He's talking about clave. He's talking about cuatro. He's talking about boricua. He's talking about Cuba. Did you go often to Puerto Rico to play or to visit? Or I know you travel all Latin America and other places, but
When my band never went to Puerto Rico. We went to Guantanamo one time. But
okay,
then I went with Larry to Puerto Rico a few times.
okay, yeah, okay, with his band, with Larry Harlow's band or the Latin
No,
Legends.
well, the Latin Legends concerts.
Okay, so moving up, because I know there's a lot, and but I don't want to leave it out. So then a few gigs that you went down to Miami, something attracted you to stay there aside work. There was gigs there down there in Miami. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it was in 1975. I got a gig to come down here to play in a nightclub for 6 weeks with a sextet. I liked it here, and the money was real good then.
Okay.
And so I decided, let's give it a shot. I had 2 little babies at the time, you know what I mean? And it sort of worked out. There was some ups and downs, but once they find out that you're local, you start they want to give you local money. you know. But it worked out in the end. I was smart enough, have my business chops together. I saw what direction I had to go into, and I did it, and I survived. What can I say?
Okay.
I
And
started. What happened was when I came here with the original sextet, it was with Marcolino and Eddie Guagua, and they eventually all went back to New York. So I had to start over here with new guys.
they couldn't stand the heat. The
No, they just
the Florida heat.
everybody's got their own thing
No,
happening,
but I
and
mean the heat of Florida, because I know it gets hot here, hotter than New York. Although
I
it
don't
could
think
be
that was the
some.
main problem. I came with, and Pablito came with me, and we had a great swinging band. We were playing at the Numero Uno on Miami Beach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was listen to this. We were the headliner. This is 1975 at the new, and in the lounge with a trio was Willie Chirino.
Really?
Yeah.
Willie Chirino.
Who
Wow.
went on to, do big things. But
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a living legend down there.
right, but then he was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Um, here, this you share with me as well. Here we can see that you were part of the family of Fania, like they call it Fania. Wish you all happy 1977. Look at that. And here they're showing the monopoly. I
All the
mean, the
artists on
family.
all the different labels.
Yeah, all the labels. And you were part of Vaya, if I'm not
Vaya.
mistaken. Vaya,
I'm Vaya. Yeah.
Vaya.
I
Here
was
you
the
can see.
second artist on Vaya, or the third artist. It was Celia Cheo and then me, I think.
Look at that. That's incredible. That's phenomenal. And nowadays, nowadays you got Mr. Andy Harlow nonstop working on radio. You're not playing anymore, right?
No, listen, I'm 80 years old. I had
That's it.
enough play. That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
It
I
was
mean,
sort of everything happened at once. Like when the pandemic came,
yeah,
I started having some medical problems, and I said, you know what? I've been there, done that. I'm done.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
But so you stayed in Miami. You stayed in Miami, and you started playing. You started gigging, but then you came up with this hit called Calle Ocho.
Yep, that was I think 80. I forget 80. It was after the salsa 88, 89. It was for the very first Calle Ocho festival that I wrote that tune.
Okay.
And the was it, I forget the name of the organization that at that time was behind the Calle Ocho. They put up the money to record that tune. And then of course all the local radio stations, went crazy over it. So
You guys on that
it
tune
was
you
a
took a
one-hit
little
wonder.
bit on the well, hey, not just one hit wonder because you had hits
I know,
prior,
but
you know.
for Miami, it was the one that it wasn't a hit anywhere but in Miami.
Well, yeah, but you're living there, and now people are getting to know you better, and you get.
Oh
But
yeah,
that opened doors for you as well because you started
oh
working
yeah.
with the community. You started working with, you know, getting involved, and now tell me about your show from today. I know you've been radio for over 40 years, but WDNA, and you have what's the name of the show, please?
Fusion Latina, and I co-host a show with my old bass player Robert Heredia, who
Look
was
at that.
part of the original Andy Harlow band and he showed up here in the late '90s, and we it's the 3 hours of salsa, old and new, Latin jazz, charanga, Afro Cuban music, new Cuban music, old Cuban music. We mix it up, and now we're also the shows are archived, so you don't have to tune in live. WDNA.org.
WDNA every Monday and every Tuesday
Tuesday.
from
But the
8.
show is actually on Monday to Friday with 3 other different hosts.
Oh, okay.
We
But
do the
you
first
host it
week Monday and Tuesday. Then there's
Monday
other
and
people on
Tuesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Okay. So there you go, guys. If you have something new, if you have a new tune, make sure you send it to Andy Harlow so he can play it. I mean, he's got to hear it first. And if it's
Yeah.
up to the standards, he'll play it.
One of the problems now is, that people send you a link to download their tune. Like I got nothing better to do all day than to start downloading
Yeah,
tunes.
I hear you. I hear
So
you.
I appreciate it when
You,
people actually send me a hard copy.
yeah, like me. I got to go running and find
Yeah.
someone to burn it for me because Mr. Andy Harlow is old school. But it's okay. We really appreciate what you do, everything you've done in music, and
How's
you
your
have
boy
to.
Johnny Moretz?
Oh yeah, he's there, and we got a few friends. We got Tito Rodriguez, we got Mr. Rafael Guerra, another DJ. Johnny Moret,
Good.
I've been working with Johnny Moret. He does his own thing. I do my own, but sometimes we get together and work either live or recording, and it's great.
Good.
We having a lot of fun. Uh, Johnny has a lot to give to music, and he helped me, I help him, and that's the way we do in the community, and we help each other. And we got
That's
your help
good.
that you play our music, like many others. And I just wanted to share with people everything you have done, for you to spend some time with us. I really
Well, I
appreciate it.
appreciate you having me on, and we could go on and on and on and on with a million stories, and
I know there's a million
maybe we'll
stories,
do it.
but what
Let's
I
do it
want
again
people
some other
is,
time.
I don't want to give people everything because I want them to stay hungry and go and look up your music, check out your videos, check everything there's available for you and your brother. I'm grateful for what you have done for your brother.
I
Actually,
can't
I
believe
told
when
you.
I see on some of these websites, they're getting 40, $50 for some of my LPs.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. I like I said, it's collector's item. People want to have them.
Yeah.
They people want to have them, and that's. I want to show some of the covers of some of your records so people can recognize them and look them up.
El
Um,
Campesino.
El Campesino, there you go. I
That's
tell
got
you, you got great music on all of them. Okay, so
Latin Fever,
yep, yep,
Sorpresa la Flauta,
yep. And
and
then here
La
you are
Música
with
Brava.
El Gran
Eléctrico.
Conde. Yep. Mr. Gilberto Colón, that you mentioned him in El Gran Chocolate Almenteros. You know, uh, lots of story. But what I want people is to stay hungry and look up your
There's La
music
Música.
and
That's
enjoy.
actually my favorite album
Really, La Música Brava.
because
There
that's
you
how
go.
the band sounded. When the,
Okay.
and let me tell you something, we held our own against everybody. Even Larry Harlow, Eddie Palmieri, we laid it down. We didn't go in there and just blah, blah, you know. We did. We were smoking. We were a smoking band,
Good.
especially when Marcolino was there.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Wow, that's phenomenal. I want to thank you, Mr. Andy. My admiration and respect. Um, Again, I always do this with much respect and organic. I don't prepare anything, just a few notes, just to have a conversation.
It was good. It
Um,
was a nice little chit chat.
yep, yep. Now, before you leave, what is your best advice to us that are trying to continue to do this music to the best of our abilities?
Well, if you're really sincere about it, increase your music collection. Whether you do it digitally or you collect CDs or vinyls, and listen to the music and ask a lot of questions from people who reliable people who know the answers.
Right. There's not
And
there's not many
know
left.
your history. There's a lot of good books out there. Some of them, are just so, but there's a lot of good books that explain the music, and it all goes. I did this thing for Salsa America, 5 1-hour shows for
Wow.
WDNA. You can still download it,
Oh,
where
really?
it does Puerto Rico with the first hour, New York the second hour, Charanga time the third hour. You know what I mean? And where we get into explaining all the different phases of how the music has evolved, and that's what you got to do. You got to just learn it,
And
ask
one
them
more thing,
questions.
since you're here.
I'm
um
going to send you the link to Salsa America also.
okay, okay, before you leave, I want to share with you and to see what's your take real quick. But nowadays you hear people, some people going back and forth with the, oh, salsa is Cuban, no, it's Puerto Rican, no, it's this and that. Again, we have someone here who did what we call today salsa. He's not Cuban, he's not Puerto Rican. Back then they weren't thinking about that. They were thinking about doing music, about having fun, and they all worked together. I mean, you
Well,
had.
the roots are definitely in Cuba.
Yeah, of
New
course.
York added its own thing because New York had rock and roll and merengue and everything else and calypso and jazz and rock. New York salsa had a little bit of everything, but the roots were Cuban, and the New York guys just took it to another level. And then Puerto Rico took over. You know.
Well, but yeah, but you have people from Panama. You had Azuquita, you had Ruben Blades, you
Oh
had
yeah,
Vitín
well,
Paz.
yeah, okay, but they were here. They weren't doing it over there. They were doing it here.
Exactly. They weren't thinking that they were from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. They were
And then
thinking
listen,
about making music.
and I'm not saying this in a bad way. And then in Colombia and Venezuela, they s- they studied the music and they learned how to imitate it. And I
Exactly.
don't
Yeah,
use imitate in a bad way. You know, the Colombian salsa bands are smoking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
No
told you
doubt.
before, one of the best trombongas I ever heard was this band called Corao and Salsa from
Raw and salsa.
Medellin. Ooh,
Look at that.
this guy's named is Ivan Oilo, Oscar Ivan Lozano, piano
Ivan
player.
Lozano. Okay.
Fantastic.
Wow. You see?
4 trombones.
Curao
Great
and
band.
salsa.
Great band. Yeah, Corao and Salsa, yeah.
There you go. So there's some that calls your
Now, as
attention that
compared to Tromboranga, which they're a good band, but they're not. They don't have the swing. They don't. They're my friends, but you know,
they still got a little bit more to go in your opinion. There you
they
go.
put
Yeah,
out
I don't
good
want to get in
records and
trouble.
they're touring all over the world, but
Hey,
they're mainly Colombian and Venezuelan guys,
I hear you.
and the lead singer's Cuban.
Look at that. Yeah, it's always a melting pot. This music is always about mixing it all together.
Because now you go any city you go to now has 2 or 3 salsa bands. Pittsburgh and San Francisco and Los Angeles and Seattle and anywhere you go now, Atlanta. That wasn't the case 15, 20 years ago.
Of course. So it stays local
Well,
now.
look, the University of Miami has a salsa band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a couple of them.
There you go.
Now salsa has gone to college.
There you go.
So
Before we leave, one of the things that caught my attention was that you recorded, at least from what I heard, 2 bombas from Puerto Rico. Bombas.
I remember. Oh yeah, Mi Mujer. Right, and the other one is, the other one is, well, one was written by Ruben Blades,
Okay.
and then the other one, I forget who wrote it, but that's I forget the name of it.
But the thing is that he even bomba from Puerto Rico, which wasn't common back then from these bands. Yeah, you have Willie Colón and Héctor Lavoe con la música jíbara, Aguinaldo, maybe a little bit of plena, maybe some bridges of bomba, but an actual bomba from beginning to end. Mr. Andy Harlow, he did it. He did it. So thank you for that.
Well,
Thank you for that.
Ismael Rivera did it a lot, and
Huh?
Cortillo.
Oh, of course. I heard a funny story that when Cortijo went to play at Palladium, they were swinging, people were rocking and dancing, and the whole place was shaking. And the owner went, I don't know if it was Pagani, told him, Mr. Cortijo, no more pachanga, please, no more pachanga. That's what I heard. Andy, I thank you very much. I'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with us. Say goodbye to the people that follow you and admire you, sir.
All right, and once again, tune in WDNA Monday and Tuesday nights, 88.9 FM in South Florida and WDNA.org.
There you go. With el otro
Well,
judío maravilloso, Mr. Andy Harlow.
muchísimas gracias por tu tiempo, muchacho.
Gracias a ti, Andy.
I'll
Take
see
care.
you, and I'll see you when you're coming to Miami.
Soon. You can count on it. We're gonna go to Versailles. We're gonna have it's on me, okay? We're gonna have a feast over there.
I'll take you to the kosher deli.
Oh, okay. We'll do that.
Get a
I'll
pastrami sandwich.
I'll take a pastrami. There you go. Or corned beef, but no rye bread. I don't like rye bread. All right, my friend. You take care. Thank you so much, okay?
I'll see you, my friend. Suerte.
Ese fue Mr. Andy Harlow, mi gente. Así que ahí lo tuvieron. Un poquito más difícil en inglés, pero tratamos. Espero que lo hayan disfrutado. Ese señor, como ustedes pueden ver, ahí está evidenciado en los discos, está evidenciado en todas las fotos que presentamos. Este señor pues se le dio la oportunidad de grabar, aunque él venía tocando antes que su hermano Larry, pero su hermano había grabado primero. Pero ya ustedes pueden ver que el hombre tomó provecho de eso y grabó y tuvo sus éxitos, y por ahí pasaron grandes músicos, grandes artistas que a su vez se convirtieron en leyendas y se convirtieron en íconos también. Así que pues estos son ratitos que quisimos compartir y un poquito, como les dije, el legado de los hermanos Harlow. Y yo en lo personal estoy más que agradecido por toda la música que ellos han hecho y nos han dejado para referencia, para enseñanza. La semana que viene vamos a tomar un giro totalmente diferente. Vamos a tener aquí al doctor Pablo Luis Rivera, el cual nos va a estar hablando acerca de el trabajo que viene haciendo, no solamente en la música, en la bomba, en la plena, sino que también va educando y llevando la importancia y la aportación de nuestra descendencia negra, así como lo escuchan. Y este caballero, que por cierto es un doctor en lo que hace, va llevando conferencias por el mundo entero. Casualmente, la última vez que me comuniqué con él, organizando lo del programa, estaba por África. Pero ha ido por Latinoamérica, aquí a los Estados Unidos, es maestro en la Universidad de Puerto Rico y nos va a estar hablando una vez más de la aportación, de la importancia y el respeto que tiene y el movimiento que debe estar dando nuestra descendencia y nuestra aportación negra, la negritud, la importancia, el orgullo que debemos tener y no solamente quedarnos estancados en la música o en el arte, sino que en otros ámbitos, y de eso él nos va a estar hablando. Pero siempre, claro está, lo vamos a estar mezclando con un poco de música, con todas las cosas que él ha hecho. También porque así fue que yo lo conocí a él en la música. Cuando yo vivía en Puerto Rico, interactuamos y tocamos e hicimos varias actividades juntos, junto a los Cepeda, junto al grupo folclórico Yubairé, con su grupo Son del Batey. Muchas cosas interesantes, inclusive participamos juntos en grabaciones y de eso vamos a estar hablando el miércoles que viene. Así que el señor Pablo Luis Rivera, el doctor, se me olvida, mi amigo Pablo, va a estar aquí el miércoles que viene, va a estar muy interesante. A todos ustedes les quiero dar las gracias por darse cita una vez más. Siempre lo hacemos con mucho cariño, con mucho respeto, lo hacemos lo mejor que podemos siempre. Le damos gracias a todos los que se conectan, a sus comentarios, porque son las cosas que pues, me motivan a seguir haciéndolo. Y ya el 17, vamos a ir cerrando este año. Ya vamos a ir cerrando este año y ya la semana que viene le hablaré de los últimos invitados que vamos a tener para entonces retomar el programa en el 2016, en enero del 2016. Pero ya ustedes saben que se acercan las festividades, participar y compartir con la familia, viajes y demás, compromisos, como ustedes bien saben, musicales o familiares, aparte del trabajo, el trabajo nunca cesa. Pero, vamos a estar hablando de los próximos invitados, pero como les dije, el doctor Pablo Luis Rivera, que nos va a estar hablando de la gran aportación, del orgullo de nuestra descendencia negra y cómo nosotros seguimos aportando y trabajando con mucho orgullo, con mucho respeto, con mucha honradez. Así que yo me despido, pero la semana que viene, miércoles que viene, estamos aquí a las 8 de la noche con el favor de Dios. Dios me los bendiga. Por ahí voy, dijo Ramón, yo tengo